History is not just written, it is remembered. Welcome to History Captured Channel. Few buildings carry the weight of a city's rebellion. On Yasna Street, the Grand Victoria Hotel fell into insurgent hands within the first hour of the Warsaw Uprising. Its elegant halls, once filled with travelers and music, now echoed with hurried footsteps, whispered orders, and the clatter of rifles. Maps spread across tables replaced dinner settings. Barricades replaced chandeliers. From this place, defiance was organized, and hope was commanded. But how long can a hotel-turned headquarters stand against an empire's wrath? War strips a city bare, yet life clings stubbornly to its needs. By the dented shell of a water tank, a young girl stood with a cracked pot, filling it slowly as drops echoed against metal. Around her, walls lay torn, the air heavy with smoke, but she focused only on the stream trickling into her vessel. In that fragile moment, survival was measured not in bullets, but in every drop she could carry home. Would you have bent over that tank, daring to draw life from the ruins? War does not choose its victims, it simply takes. In the rubble of Warsaw, a wounded civilian lay against a shattered wall, dust clinging to his bloodied face. His clothes, torn and burned, spoke of fire and collapse. Around him, the city roared with battle, yet his eyes searched only for a hand, a voice, a sign of mercy. In that moment, he was neither soldier nor enemy, just a human caught in history's cruelty. When war breaks a city, who carries the weight of its silent victims? How do parents find the strength to carry both their children and their grief? In the ruins of the Wola district, a husband and wife moved slowly through the rubble, their arms cradling their children. Behind them, smoke curled from broken homes, while ahead lay the uncertain safety of the city center. Each step was heavy, not only with the weight they carried, but with the silent question of what future remained. Would you walk on with hope or collapse under the burden of loss? What would faith feel like when even a church becomes a prison? In Wola, residents were driven through broken streets, pushed beneath the shadow of St. Wojciech's church. Families clutched each other, their eyes searching the sacred walls for safety that no longer existed. The house of prayer, once a refuge, now echoed with fear, its doors sealing them in before the march into exile. Would you whisper a prayer inside or fall silent, knowing heaven itself could not stop the war? But hope remains when all you have left are questions. In Pruszków, weary women pressed forward, their eyes heavy with sleepless nights. They crowded around lists, names scribbled on torn papers, each line carrying the weight of a family's fate. Fingers trembled as they searched, desperate to find a husband, a son, a child lost to the chaos. The air was thick with silence, broken only by whispers of names that never appeared. Would you keep searching or let despair swallow the hope that tomorrow might bring an answer? What makes men turn a home into a fortress? In 1944 Warsaw, Even balconies became battlegrounds. On Aleje Yerosalimsky, a machine gun crew crouched behind sandbags, firing down smoke-filled streets. Each burst echoed through shattered walls. For them, it was not just defense, it was defiance. But bravery could not stop the city's fall. Would you have held the line, knowing everything around you was collapsing? How much courage does it take to fire a weapon that could destroy you as easily as the enemy? On Piusa 11th Street, a man lay close to the ground, the grenade launcher resting on the rubble before him. His hands steadied the weapon, his eyes fixed on German positions ahead. The blast tore through the silence, smoke rising as stone and dust rained down. In that instant, the street itself became his battlefield. Would you press your body against the earth, knowing one misfire could end it all? High above the broken city, silence became his greatest ally. On August 2nd, 1944, a Polish sniper lay hidden on a Warsaw rooftop, his rifle aimed across the Ewangeliki Cemetery. Below him stretched a field of graves, symbols of the past, while in his sights stood the soldiers of an empire determined to create more. Every heartbeat slowed, every breath measured, as life and death balanced on the curve of a trigger. What thoughts pass through a man's mind when his battlefield is a graveyard? The river carried more than water. It carried the weight of survival. At Chernyakhov, insurgents stood tightly packed in a small boat, rifles clutched, eyes fixed on the ruined shore. The current lapped against the hull, a steady whisper against the chaos of war. Ahead, the riverbank promised both danger and hope, a crossing that could mean reinforcements or an ambush waiting in silence. Each man's breath was drawn, as if it might be his last before stepping onto land. Would you have boarded that boat, not knowing if the shore meant life or death? In a city under siege, even children carried the fire of resistance. Through the battered streets of Pauishle, Boy Scouts slipped between shadows, clutching bundles of insurgent newspapers. Their uniforms were worn, their faces still young, yet their steps were steady. Each paper delivered was more than news. It was a spark of defiance, a lifeline of hope passed hand to hand. In their small arms rested the courage of a nation too proud to bow. Would you have dared to spread words, knowing they were as dangerous as bullets? What does it mean to walk away from your home when nothing is left standing? In early October 1944, a fragile ceasefire gave Warsaw's citizens a chance to flee. Families moved through streets of rubble, stepping over shattered bricks where houses once stood. The air was heavy with silence. No gunfire, only the shuffle of weary feet. Each step was not just escape, but farewell to a city reduced to dust. Would you look back one last time or keep walking into the unknown? What does surrender look like when pride has already been stripped away? In the courtyard of a shattered townhouse on Zielna Street, German soldiers stood with hands raised above their heads. The same hands that once carried rifles now trembled in the air, empty, exposed. Around them, broken walls whispered of battles lost, of power drained into silence. In that moment, conquerors had become captives. Would you see defiance still flickering in their eyes, or only the shadow of surrender? Why do children turn war into play, even as real bullets fly? Amid the ruins, laughter still echoed. On shattered streets, boys clutched wooden rifles, marching as if they commanded armies. Their uniforms were rags, their battleground broken stone. But their imaginations built a world where courage was still possible. In the shadow of destruction, innocence fought to survive. Would you smile at their game, or weep, knowing the war was already waiting for them? What does it mean to leave the city you fought for with every breath? In the fading light, Polish partisans stood among the ruins, their rifles slung low, their faces marked by exhaustion. The streets they had defended now lay silent, scarred by fire and blood. Each man knew departure was not defeat, but survival. A bitter step away from the heart of a dying city. Would you walk away, carrying pride in resistance, or only the sorrow of unfinished battle? How do you keep filming when the sky itself is falling? On Marszałkowska Street, bombs shattered glass and crushed stone, but the cameramen stood firm. Every frame caught more than ruin. It preserved the courage of a city refusing silence. Their reels became history's witness, proof carved from fire and dust. Would you hold the camera steady, knowing the next blast could be your last?